Hello everyone, and welcome to another TI9 team preview. In this one, we're going to be talking about last year's TI runner-up, LGD. It was a bit of a surprise to see LGD not make any changes to their roster after such a heart-wrenching loss at last year's TI, and no one was sure how they would fare this season. Would they slowly fall apart the way Newbie had after TI7, or recover their impeccable and dominant form that had carried them to the precipice of Dota immortality? Truthfully, you can't fault LGD for not shuffling their roster, as it would be pretty difficult to find a better player at any of their positions. This DPC season, LGD continued their strong international performance, qualifying for every single major and topping their group at almost all of them as well. They were primarily beaten by Secret, Liquid, VP, Vici Gaming, and EG, all extremely good teams. While there's no shame in losing to the top teams, LGD has previously belonged to that elite group, and so they must be hungry for a taste of success. LGD have routinely performed well in the qualifiers, usually outranking Vici Gaming, and yet on the international stage they continue to falter, with their highest placement being a 4th place at both the Chinese major and the MDL major. Possibly their defeat against OG has been lingering, or possibly the meta has also strayed away from the comfort zones of both AME and FY in particular at times. Maybe also looked a bit out of sorts at times and less dynamic than his usual dominant self, which prompted him to take a break from competitive Dota during the Dream League Major in hopes of returning to peak form. And it speaks to the caliber of this team that LGD were still able to take 5th to 6th place at the Dream League Major without their star mid player. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and surely being a top 2 team at TI has led to increased scrutiny from other teams. Dota has become an increasingly data-driven game, and when you don't change your roster from year to year, the amount of information other teams have to study increases dramatically. Earlier this year, we even saw Liquid's former TI champion roster shift after it seemed like they had been figured out. Yet, the trade-off is that you have another full year of experience playing together, building trust and coordination. You also have the same roster that has already demonstrated the potential to be counted among the best in the world. TI9 will be a true test of whether LGD has learned from their past mistakes and grown. Perhaps not coming in as the favorites, however, will do them some good to alleviate a bit of that pressure and allow LGD to play freely and without fear. Gone are the days when Chinese Dota was yawned at for being too slow and controlled, as LGD have broken the mold and forged their own aggressive style of play. LGD likes to play a strong dual-core style, often relying on maybe as much or more than AME to carry them to victory. And a quick aside for those who don't really follow the Chinese scene, we hear so much about the Sumail Storm Spirit, but maybe is probably the original wonderkind on this hero, winning 73% of his games with a 5.2 KDA over 134 games. Sumail, for reference, has a 72% win rate with a 3.99 KDA in 79 games. Maybe is one of those players that rarely loses lanes, and he is exceptionally good at turning that advantage into an aggressive snowball. When Maybe begins to rotate, it helps to have active supports like FY and Xnova to set him up for kills, and the aggressive laning presence of Chalice to link up with to take towers. LGD are often the first team to move from the laning stage, and it allows them to dictate the pace for the rest of the game. They are also one of the few teams that feels comfortable going toe-to-toe with the aggression of a team like VP, often outfighting them at their own game last year, though this season has been a bit of a different story. Of course, it certainly helps to have the fight-winning prowess of a player like FY, who routinely carries games for LGD by sheer skill of spellcasting on his signature Rubik, Earthshaker, and Tusk. This high pace of play from the LGD 2 through 5 players buys AME a huge amount of space, and when left unharassed, he is one of the most efficient farmers in the entire game, turning in masterful performances on hyper carries such as Sven, Morphling, and Terrorblade. AME is also well known for his lone druid play, And while this solo style of play does put him at risk of feeding at times, it also creates a ticking time bomb for the opposing teams to worry about. The main downfall for a team as good as LGD has been their mid to late game decision making, and if you're a fan of the team, it's a little bit worrying how often it has been Ame getting caught out, which has led to LGD losing a game. But with another year of experience under their belts, there's no reason that LGD can't improve on last year's performance, and there's only one more spot to improve to: TI Champions.